Discretion is advised. I let my money double up, then it triple up. I'm steady climbing up, homie, I'm a money flipper. Proceed with the business, I'm a money flipper. I'm a money flipper.
State your name.
Hey, how y'all doing? I'm InFamous, the CEO of InFamous Productions.
Where you from?
I was born in Maryland, but I was raised all over the place. I moved from here when I was 6, and then I went to North Carolina, then I moved to South Carolina, and then from there I moved to Florida, and then eventually I moved back up here.
So what's your business and career you doing?
Right now, at this current time, I'm a producer, an engineer, and I'm a rapper. I'm also a photographer.
What age did you start?
I say by the time I got around to really wanting to take this serious and, start putting my time into this, for real, I say I was about 15.
What was the purpose of doing a career? Like, what got you started to doing music?
I've always had a passion for music growing up. So, it was kind of just a natural flow. Just listening to music, listening to artists like Logic and J. Cole and Drake, and just hearing, the messages that they were putting out and things like that. I thought to myself, I would, really love to be able to share my life story with people and, that I would like to share a positive message with people. And, also have some songs here and there that are lit so we can turn up and stuff.
You said you run a label, so who's on your label?
Right now, this current time, it is me and my artist and business partner, King Kenny, and my other artist and business partner, Loco J, and then my other artist and business partner, Nero.
How did you meet all of them?
Let's see. Nero, I'll start with him first since I met him first and known him the longest. Me and Nero actually went to middle school together, and we met, I want to say we were in the 8th grade when we met, and, since then, we've been bros, best of friends, we, helped each other out and, been there for each other through thick and thin, since the music stuff started and before it started. And James, I met him, we went to the school together, we went to Forestville High School, and we also graduated together, so I met him there. I still remember the day that I met James formally, and we were actually, it was like one of the last days of school, not during senior year, but it was like the year before then, I believe, and we actually ended up having like a rap battle in the music classroom, and so that's how we actually ended up meeting. And then Kenny, I met Kenny through James during a studio session, and since then, we've been bros and best of friends.
So who's your top favorite artist? That's pro, not pro, any artist?
My top favorite artist is Logic. Yep, that's my number one inspiration right there, Logic.
Action.
Hey, what's up, y'all? My name is Loco J. My real name is James. I'm from Washington, D.C. I was born in Southeast. Spent a little bit of my childhood in Northwest, and then I moved to Maryland when I was 9. So ever since then, I've been living in Maryland. Yeah. And then, so, let's start with how I met Kenny. So, me and Kenny knew each other since, like, middle school. And then, then in high school, that's when we started really doing music. And we started becoming even more closer. That's been my bro for a while. And then I moved from over around where we used to live at on Southern Avenue in Temple Hills, and then I moved around Hillmont Drive. Most people know that's Forest Creek. And so I met Twan when I was in Forestville from my 11th to my 12th grade year. And ever since then, he been my bro. So that's when we clicked. And then after we graduated and all that stuff, fast forward, you know, I link up with him at the studio. And from that point on, just kept it pushing. And I started taking it even more serious. And, you know, from me doing music, that's my way of getting out all of my feelings on how I feel about life, you know, the things that I have gone through and that I'm going through now. You know, I'm able to just tell my story, and a lot of people can relate to it. You know, that's my main thing. And my main thing is not just saying words, like it's saying words that actually mean something. And I talk to people's hearts. You know, I'm a person that deals with the heart. And if I can speak to your heart, then you're going to want to hear what else I got to say. You know what I'm saying? Basically just getting your attention. And so, one thing that somebody had pointed out was that I don't sound like any other rapper, pretty much. You know, I have my own unique voice. You know, what I talk about is not what every other rapper talking about. I'm talking about what's relevant to my life. And then when the bus driver had pointed that out when I was on the metro, he was like, you don't sound like nobody else. Because you got a lot of rappers that sound the same, but they not trying to make themselves different. And that's my goal, is to be different from every other rapper. So, it's Local J. I got music coming soon. Look out for my tape, Dangerous Waters.
Don't cop his tape.
This motherfucker. Now that's my bro Twan right there, you know.
Oh yeah. Hold out.
This is my producer that has mixed all my shit starting from Dangerous Waters, you know what I'm saying?
What's good, y'all?
And I just want to say that, like, this is, like, truly my bro. He's not just my producer, you know, and, you know, from the time that we met each other, it was funny as shit. You know, that was back when we had his fade and all that in the fat-ass book bag. But, but, like, yeah, you know, we've been bros ever since the 11th grade, like I stated earlier. You know, we had music class. Well, not really, like, we didn't have the same music class, but we were just down there freestyling. And so that's when we really clicked. And so pretty much that's that. You know, it's InFamous Productions. You know what I'm saying? We more than just a team. We a family. You know, pretty much like my own family. So look out for his tape coming soon. And what's that shit called? Yeah, the Book of Truth. So be looking out for that as well. And, you know, be looking out for all our music coming up in the future, because, you know, we doing this forever. Like, we ain't holding back. You know, and shout out to my family for supporting me in everything that I do. Love y'all to the fullest. Love my family. I love my extended family, you know, my InFamous Productions team. Shout out to my cousins out Glen Burnie. You already know, Co-Cash Society. They doing their thing too with music. And so, you know, look out for our music coming soon. And stay tuned. Stay tuned.
What's your take on other artists like Rico Nasty, Thrill Black, Willow Rapper, and other DMV artists?
My opinion on them is, like I said, I mean, there are some of them out here that are definitely spreading a positive message, and, you know, they're, you know, taking their craft seriously, working every day, you know, putting in that work, grinding. But there are others, you know, that they don't really like music. Like, music isn't their passion. And I respect and understand that music is not everybody's passion. Everybody isn't going to take it seriously. But, you know, I just feel as though some of them, they're just doing doing it for fun. You know, they think that this music stuff is a game, and you know, things like that. But you know, in reality, the point of hip hop, the point of music is for us to be changing the image that has been created for us. You know, the purpose of it is for us to be able to spread a positive message to our listeners and our viewers and our fans.
What you say you do music, so what is your top hot singles that everybody listens to that's like mainly out there?
Taking me back. Let me see. I know that. I have this song that's out on SoundCloud right now called "The Messenger." That one is definitely one of the top that's out. And I also have which one? Like This. That one right there, that's one of my personal favorites that's out right quick too. Right now too. So and then I also had this song that I dropped back when I was in high school still, and it's called "Where Did We Fall?" And that one is one of my favorites from back when I was first starting to.
So let's go back to the artist. What's your take on Local J? What do you see as Local J as, like,
Local
as
J
a
is
person?
some trash. Fuck that nigga. Nah, I'm just playing. That's my man. I definitely think that Loco J is a great artist. He's definitely fun to work with, and he definitely has talent and potential. He definitely, you know, brings a lot to the table, and you know, especially, you know, and even when it comes to like picking out instrumentals and stuff, like he's definitely great at that, and you know, he has some versatility, and you know, I still remember when we first started working together, and you know, he's definitely improved since then. So yeah, I definitely think that you all should go check out Loco J. Make sure you all go to the InFamous Productions SoundCloud page and check out that Dangerous Waters song, and look out for that video too.
What about your other artists? Tell us about your point of view of the other artists that's on your label.
I'll start off with Kenny from here, and so King Kenny, I definitely think that, you know, he's a great artist. I've definitely seen him improve drastically since when he first started. Like, I remember the very first time we recorded, and we were actually like in my studio / bedroom in my parents' house, and I remember, like, you know, like I definitely saw the potential in him, but he just had so much further to go. And it's like now I can see him as like, it's like it went from like an egg to like an egg cracking and opening up, you know. So it's like, I don't know if that is really a good analogy, but I mean, it's like, you know, he's finally, you know, unleashing his potential and, you know, going places, you know, going further where, you know, I already saw. So he's just proving the fact that I saw the potential in him, and I'm glad that, you know, I decided to, you know, work with him. It was definitely a decision that I do not regret. And then for Nero, you already know that nigga fire, flames, all of that. Me and Nero, we have a mixtape that we're actually working on. It's a dual mixtape, and it's called The Book of Truth. And so there are various songs on there. I actually am dropping a song soon for that. And I have some little Easter eggs and stuff that, you know, are out there. And so my true fans, they'll notice those. And yeah, I mean, I think that he's a great artist, but even he has improved over the time, because I remember when he first started rapping, and I remember when we first started doing this music stuff, and you know, I remember, like, he was good, but he wasn't at the level that he is now. And that, you know, I can even say that for myself. You know, I sometimes find myself listening to my old stuff. And when I listen to my old content, I'm like, man, you know, some of this stuff was good. But then I'm like, some of the other stuff is like, nah. So, you know, I in no way think that I'm like the best rapper out there. You know, at the end of the day, we all have development and growth to do. We all have, you know, a long way to go before we finally reach our pinnacle.
You said back in high school when you met Loc, y'all did some rap battles. Can you tell us about that?
Oh yeah, I mean, I can't say that I remember any specifics of any bars that were said, but I can definitely say that it was definitely a great experience, and that I will never forget that day. You know, that was definitely a great day right there. Like I said, it was the day that I met him, and it was just an overall great day. You know, I don't know, like it was just great. I don't know.
Is it? Is there any future partnerships you think about doing with other labels or anybody from other labels? Future signings?
I will say that I'm definitely looking forward to at some point in time in my life being able to work with Logic on on some music stuff, and I would definitely say that there are a couple other artists I want to work with when it comes to like photography and stuff, but I haven't really set out on any specific record label for anything that I actually want to work with. I will decide those as the time goes on and as the time arises. Because I'm all down for collaboration and working with other people.
So those signings, what do people have to do? What's the requirements for them not to sign you? Like what you look forward to?
I look for somebody that has potential. I look for somebody that has that drive. I look for someone who has, the motivation that's required and necessary to really do this music stuff. I mean, because there are going to be plenty of times during this journey that you're going to want to quit. You're going to want to give it up, or you're going to sit here and say, oh, I'm not making any money right now because I just started, so it's easier for me to make time for my job than it is for me to make time for my music. And I need somebody on my team that can see past that. I need somebody on my team that can really look into the future and visualize it like I do. And see the potential, see where everyone is going and what the future holds. At the end of the day, I mean, just imagine I've been doing this for 5+ years. I mean, I could have sat here and gave up a long time ago and the label would have never existed. I still remember before InFamous Production was even InFamous Productions, and I was working with some of my friends back in high school, like 9th or 10th grade year, with this label that they had called Gold Print, and I still remember that. And I also remember that there were many talented artists on that label, and I can say that I don't believe that any of them do music anymore. In fact, I believe the only person besides myself that was with that label that still does music to this day is Gold Print himself. And he hasn't come out with anything as of lately, but he's definitely been getting better. But if you watching this, bruh, I need you to get back on your grind, because I'm out here trying to make this happen, and we need you to do what you do. I know you out in New York and stuff, so make sure you keep your grind up. Make sure you hustle like you got to, bro.
So let's talk about your downfall, because right now we only talk about all the good stuff. Is there anything that try to stop you from doing what you're doing now, or has there been times that you try to quit?
Yeah, I mean, there has been a lot of stuff that's come up. I mean, I remember, when I was in 10th grade, I remember right before I really was starting it. I remember when I was first starting to get into the writing stage of music and stuff, and when I was getting serious with it, because I was writing songs and stuff, but when I started really getting serious, I remember that I ended up moving from here, and I moved down to Florida, and around this time is also when I met one of my greatest friends, Irregular, and that guy, he's one of the main reasons that I really stuck through with this music stuff even after all these years. I would have never built my studio if it wasn't for him, and I would have never, learned how to, have better delivery and better flow if it wasn't for him, nor would I honestly wouldn't even know how to mix and master if it wasn't for him. So, if it wasn't for this guy and the fact that He taught me that you had to study this music like at school. You have to study your craft, and that you actually have to put in time and you have to put in the effort. I wouldn't be where I am. And I also met my other friend, Brandon Hakes, Pisces gang. Y'all already know what's up. Um, and he's definitely been somebody that's been there for me. I know as of recently, I hadn't been as active with my music, and it was a whole bunch of stuff that was coming up between all of the inconveniences and unforeseen circumstances with the studio building and life itself. Me working my day job every single day. There were times where I was working 7 days of the week, and there were times that I might have had some time off that I could have went in the studio and recorded, but by the time I got off work, I was honestly just so exhausted and tired, and on top of that, trying to pay bills and just dealing with all the life problems, relationship problems, and things, and it gets to a point where sometimes it feels overbearing, and sometimes you do just want to give up and you just want to quit, or you just want to say, why am I doing this? But I always made sure that I kept that vision. And I remember even a while back, me and my friend Brandon, we were talking, and he was like, bro, because I was just venting to him and talking to him, and we were exchanging advice, and he told me, he said, bro, he was like, you would be able to pay some of your bills, and it would help you, if you were to take and be in the studio every week. You need to make it your mission and your goal to take and be in the studio at least 2 to 3 times a week and have clients in there 2 to 3 times a week. And next thing you know, a couple days after, we agreed, and I couldn't even hold him because he was telling the absolute truth, and he was trying to push me to really do this music stuff because he knew I had it in me, to do. And next thing you know, a couple days later, then the company that I was working for, they just shut down all of the stores out of nowhere. And that definitely took a toll, because not only did they shut down, but they also informed us that we weren't going to be getting paid in 2 weeks when we were supposed to be getting paid. And I know you all know that people have bills to pay. Even when you're an artist, even when you're a producer, even when you're a photographer, there are bills that have to be paid. You still have to pay to eat. You still have to pay to live. You still have to pay for transportation. You still have to pay to make it and just survive. So at the end of the day, for me to be told that I wasn't going to be able to pay my bills, for me to be told that I didn't have a job and that I couldn't make any money, it definitely took a toll on me. But I instantly said, okay, let me get on my grind. So I just started filling out job applications, and then on top of that, I started hitting up people with studio time and stuff, because I was like, what, even if I don't have a job, I'm gonna make sure that I'm on my grind with my music stuff. I'm gonna make sure I'm on my grind with this photography stuff, and then that's when God came in, because I went from not having a job, not having any money, not having a way to get any money, to having clients booked for the studio, to having photo shoots booked up and people hitting me up to get photo shoots done. Also, if y'all need photo shoots, y'all can definitely go and check out my Instagram at infamous_the_great, and y'all can check out some of my work, some of my art, and look at some of the people I've been working with. And like I said, you can definitely DM me and hit me up if you have any serious inquiries about any business. And I'm definitely down to work with other artists as well. So even if you're an artist and you just want to work with me, or you need some advice, you want to talk to me about something, just let me know. And so I was blessed by God to be able to get to the point of really knowing my music stuff and really doing my photography stuff. And then that's when unforeseen circumstance number 2 comes around, and I get a call, first day of the week, Monday, or well, technically Sunday is the first day of the week, but we gonna stick to Monday, y'all. But so on Monday, I got a call, because I had a studio client that was gonna come in and get 4 hours of studio time, and I was just hype and lit. And then I had Loco J coming in to record on the next day, that Tuesday, at like 12 o'clock in the morning, and then I had King Kenny coming in to record on, that Friday, and I was just hype, I was just lit, and I'm like, oh man, and then I got photo shoots booked up and all that. I'm just like, I'm hyped up, and I'm just, giving the glory back to God, and next thing you know, I get this call from the owner of the building in my that my studio's in, and he's telling me that all this, that, and the other with the bills, and the light company is saying that the payment wasn't received, and I have all these bills and this, that, and the third. So basically that affected me, and I wasn't able to get any of my clients into the studio to record, and that right there took a toll, because it's like, well, man, that's half my money down the drain right there. I was like, well, man, I thought I was gonna be able to pay some bills, and I thought that I was gonna be able to take and put back into my studio, and put back into my photography, equipment and things of that nature. It hit hard, but even then, I didn't give up. I said, you know what, alright, if I can't do that, then I'm just going to grind hard. The songs that I do have, I'm going to start, posting those, and, I'm going to start, working on even more content, so that way when I can get back in the studio, I'll be ready. And I'm just going to take a whole day, 24 hours, and just grind out like 20, 30 songs. That's what I'm going to do. And I said, in between that, I'm just going to grind hard on my photography. I did end up actually being blessed, and I got a new job. So between that and my photography, I think I'll be alright. And then I'm gonna be working on music in between then, and like I said, as soon as I can get back in the studio, everything will be set.
Last thing, is there anything you want to say to people that's doing music, or doing what they dream, chasing their dreams, their talents, that want to give up, or any advice for them?
Yeah, I definitely say, no matter what your haters say, no matter what the people that are against you say, make sure you stay true to you. Make sure that if you know that this is something that you really want to do, that you do it no matter what. I had people, even my family, tell me, oh, this music business is iffy, only certain people make it, and the photography industry is iffy, only certain people really make it, and oh, you had to do this, and they're like, oh, well, why don't you go to college? Oh, why don't you go to the military? And just downing me, and basically making it seem like my career isn't shit, and what I chose to do with my life was not enough to make them happy. And I think that was probably one of the biggest challenges that I personally had, is that I had to get to a point that I didn't care, if it made anybody else happy, because I had to realize that I'm doing this to make myself happy. I'm doing this to make myself successful. I'm doing this to, outside of the wealth, the power, the fame, I'm doing this to, spread a positive message. And I'm doing this to change the world, and change how people view things, change how people view hip-hop, change how people view music. And so, the best advice I can give you, like I said, is stay true to you. You gotta be you. And that's what I say, stay true to the path that you've chosen, because trust me, it's the right one. It might be hard. It's never gonna be easy, because life ain't easy. Like Nero said in one of our songs, this life ain't easy, man. That's the truth. And that's some real shit. This life is not easy. It's not meant to be. If life were easy, then I would be a billionaire right now, just from stepping outside of my door. And so that's not gonna happen. So life ain't easy, man. Just keep your head up, grind hard, and know your core values. That's all I say. If you stick to your values, and you keep God in your life, You'll make it. You just have to have faith. You'll definitely make it.
All right. So off of everybody off your label, what's your top favorite song from all of them? From every artist.
Let me see. Well, I would say from Nero, it would have to be Like This, featuring myself. And then from King Kenny, I don't seem to remember the name. Let me see. I think it's Never Stop. I think it's called Never Stop. That one is definitely one of my favorites from him. And then from Loco J, of course, you already know Dangerous Waters. That's definitely one of my favorites. And that also has King Kenny on it. They both brought that fire, and they both did what they had to do. And yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for your time.
No problem, anytime. Like I said, y'all can definitely hit me up. My contact information will be in the link in the description, or either it will be somewhere on the side of the screen, or somewhere. However Kenny chooses to do it. But yeah, you all are free to definitely contact me through email at infamousproduction.contact@gmail.com. Or you can, like I said, hit me up on IG, infamous_the_great. And, like I said, I'm definitely more than willing to help you all out, give you advice, insight on situations, or, even help you to get out of writer block, whatever you're dealing with. And if you need a photo shoot, you need a video shoot, or whatever, I'm here. So just hit me up, and it was definitely great working with you all.
Got into this producing shit fucking around with Twan, aka Pineapple. That's my man's though. We was fucking around, we was in his house one day recording a song that I thought this shit was gonna be easy, to be honest, but this shit was not easy. So shout out to my man A-Cav, Kevin Bryant, little gay ass nigga. He made Christian music, but the music John cranked though. But so we was in there recording the song, and Twan, he was just like being on our ass. He was a coach, so he just showed us how to do everything. So that ran from me. So I told Twan, hey, look, man, I want to do this for myself, but I want to be on the producer side. I don't want to be no person recording and doing all this. So I started making beats, and that's where Mark on the Beat Cuz came from. So after that ran, I sent Twan my first 3 beats. He laughed me out. He said, what the fuck is this? Started sending me stuff. So I got better, and bass lines, beats, you want to hit me up. Get my email, get my phone number, text me, hit me up. Beats for the cheap, $40 for at least, 100, 200 for, what the fuck they call that? Exclusive, whatever the fuck they call that shit. But yeah, you'll probably edit all the cursing out, but yeah, Twan, he does all the mixing, mastering, GarageBand, FL Studio, Logic, he uses it all. So all the stuff that we can do, like we're a group. You got Kenny, he like Lil Reese, the Chirac person from Cheap Key Squad, so he do the rapping, he edit videos, stuff like that. We all a group. And you got James, he a rapper. He be murdering beats, start slashing beats. So, then you got Nero. This nigga go crazy on anything, like trying to get a feature for him, but he playing games. But yeah, just chilling, man. So, Mark wanna be cuz, aka call me Marco, you ain't getting my government name. So I don't know about all that. But yeah, you know, tune in sometimes, man.
Yeah. Hey yo, the InFamous out here. Hey yo, shout out Logic, man. You know you my inspiration, I mean that shit. Yeah. I work so fucking much, my greatest fear is I'ma die alone. I'm a king, not a pawn, I'm not weak in this Game of Thrones. Fuck it, now the weight has been lifted. Once upon a time I was cursed, but now I feel gifted. Now I feel different, feel like I can finally make it. Finally take it, now InFamous is known as the greatest. 2017 is the year and it's mine for the taking. Fuck this shit, I shake the earth when I spit, now the earth is quaking.